So now I want to tell you what I think the fundamental constituent elements are of stories. And one of the things that I hope is that knowing this will immunize you against ideology, because I believe that ideologies are fragmentary meta-narratives, and they have their power because they're grounded in the meta-narrative, but they only tell part of the story. But they have power because they're grounded in the fundamental narrative. And so here's the fundamental narrative as far as the characters, let's say. We're going to say that people are prone to characterize the world. We're social primates, we're social cognitive primates, so we tend to see the world through the lens of a social creature. And partly because we're concerned with acting in the world, and the world is mostly other people, then we conceptualize the ground of that structure for action in characterological terms. So the most fundamental reality is chaos. And chaos is what you don't understand at all. You can't even conceptualize it. You come into contact with it in bits and pieces. When the Twin Towers fell, chaos reigned for a few days. Everyone was shell-shocked. And that was chaos. And chaos is what you experience when your story falls apart. And that's a descent to the underworld. That's chaos. And basically you live in order and chaos. And order is where, when you do what you think you should do, what you want to have happen, happens. That's order. That's explored territory. And chaos is when you do what you're supposed to do to get what you want, and it doesn't happen. And then that place that you're magically in when that happens, that's chaos. And it has different depths. You could say it reaches all the way to hell, and that usually happens when your life falls apart very badly, and you're down in that chaos, and you realize that it was your fault, and that you did something wrong, and that you knew it and you ignored it. That's the worst form of chaos. So there's chaos itself, and then the next thing is fairly straightforward. You could think there's the individual exists in culture, and culture is embedded in nature. Pretty straightforward. Nature is mother nature for reasons we'll get into, and culture is father culture. And I think that's because the fundamental dominance hierarchies in human primates are masculine, and that nature is assimilated to the feminine because it's, well, for two reasons. First of all, females do the sexual selection among human beings, so they actually are nature from the Darwinian perspective. And second, nature is the productive biological force. And so we've always conceptualized males and females, and we've used that conceptualization to sort out the world at large. It's a metaphor. But it's not just a metaphor, you know, it's reasonable to consider culture as a judgmental father.